Hello, Mike Pollock. It is an excellent pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, wow, the voice of Eggman himself, and here I am, the voice of the Eggman Empire channel, and I'm voicing, well, the big Hedgehog show himself. So, great to be here, and looking forward to getting down with this.
Cool.
All right, so I'd say for starters, give us a bit of a rundown on how it all essentially started from, like, the voice acting career, like anything that started within, like, doing any voice acting or dub or stuff like that, anything like prior to getting the voice of Dr. Eggman.
Well, I am a full-service actor. I've been acting professionally and exclusively for just over 20 years. I've been acting to some degree ever since I was in third grade and set foot on a stage in some Greco-Roman toga-wearing pageant and hearing the joy of applause. And then I toiled in radio for a while because radio was my other love, along with theater, and dabbling in community theater all the time. And then when radio had enough of me, I decided to pursue acting full-time. So I am a full-service actor specializing in voice, but by no means exclusive to voice. But I will voice anything that can't voice itself, including commercials, corporate narrations, animation, games, you name it. If it can't speak and I can speak for it and we can work out professional terms to make it happen, I'll make it happen.
All right, excellent. That's a good thing to know. I guess a follow-up to that is how that eventually led to voicing for dubs and 4Kids, and then you got the role for voicing Eggman in Sonic X.
I sent out demo tapes. I sent out a demo tape on a cassette because it was back in the early 2000s, and that's how demo tapes went out. Responding to a blind ad in a newspaper, which just said we're looking for people to be in cartoons. Didn't say who it was for. Turned out to be for an episode of Pokemon, which was quite popular at the time, as it still is today. And it turns out that the guy directing it was Eric Stewart, and the folks behind it, 4Kids, were about to start their own children's TV block on the Fox network, and they were looking for voices for the cartoons and also for the promos. I ended up getting parts in the cartoons as well as doing the voices of the promos for the first couple of years. And about 2 or 3 years into it, they got a license to dub Sonic X, and the producers knew me from working on Kirby Right Back at You, which had been doing at 4Kids for a while. And they said, the lead producer said, we think you'd be really good for the part of Dr. Eggman, and we'd like you to audition. They asked me to audition, and it took a couple of callbacks, doing my best Dean Bristow impression, and eventually they decided they liked it and that I would do.
Okay, that's actually good to hear. I didn't know you'd started out with Pokemon, and sort of figured with the Dean Bristow's part, but I guess a follow-up is, well, actually, before I get to follow-up, I just realized when we mentioned that he voiced the mayor from Kirby Right Back at You, that he also would later voice, I believe it was the mayor from the Sonic Boom cartoon show, or something like that. Yeah, so now, at one point he would voice a mayor, and then later on he would be voicing Eggman and a mayor at the same time.
My resume is full of coincidences like that.
Yeah, but let's see. I was getting to the part where I got to Sonic X, and oh yeah, it was about the Dean Bristow impression. So I noticed it sounded a lot like Dean Bristow in the early parts. Anything that caused it to sort of develop into your own Eggman that you use today?
It was notes from the producer and director who said while the Dean Bristow thing was nice for a few episodes in, they were going to ask me to add some peaks and valleys to my delivery to account for the comedy of the script. And the template that they gave me was Jiminy Glick, the Martin Short character, who starts up way up high, then goes way down low. So I worked that into the characterization, and it settled into a comfortable place in my throat.
Okay. And has there been any changes from, like, when it shifted from 4Kids into SEGA?
No, not consciously. They liked what I was doing. They asked me to re-audition. They liked my audition again, and I've been doing what I'm doing. Okay. Obviously, each script can be interpreted differently. So if there's not a lot of comedy, there's not a lot of comedic delivery. Sonic 06 is one example. Or Sonic Frontiers, where we were specifically asked to be a lot more grounded and more realistic. So incremental changes are made based on the script and the individual direction. But in general, no, same thing.
Okay, that's actually quite a thing when you reference, when you mentioned about Sonic 06 and especially Frontiers, because I know it's in your performance of Sonic Frontiers. Like, to me, that was like one of the powerful, like, direction, especially for for something that's so different from what the previous games have been doing so far. But, given that there was a fatherly tone, and me, I end up thinking there was like a bit of a, strangely enough, I think it was like a Liam Neeson type of vibe, which makes me wonder, were there like any inspirations or references that helped you like achieve your performance in games like as serious as Frontiers or 06?
There were no specific directions other than keep it realistic and grounded. And then as I came across each line, because games are usually recorded line by line, each line developed on its own and the story arc continued. So I was basically giving a performance to please the director, as I do, because the director and the production team are my audience. So I was making sure that they were happy with what I was doing, and they were.
Oh yeah, that actually also leads into like when it comes to actually doing voice work, like have there been any sort of like voice exercise you would undertake prior to like recording in the studio before you get into the booth or anything like that?
Not usually. I should warm up more than I do, but I've never been a warm up type of guy. I pretty much make sure I'm somewhat hydrated, have water or some type of beverage nearby, and set limits on the length of sessions if it's going to be vocally stressful. But other than that, no, it's very much an organic process for me.
Okay, so that's good to know, actually. Okay, so that actually trails into something very interesting I found, like regarding a certain role that you recently played within Sonic Frontiers. So this one is an interesting part, as acts to do with, if I recall this is true, you voiced the male counterpart voice of the End.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I was half of the End.
Oh boy,
with Cindy Robinson.
That was the most interesting part for me. I wonder, like anything that led to them choosing you to voice essentially the secondary, or I guess main villain of the game itself.
I was not there for those discussions. I was just there in the session where they said, "Okay, you're playing this too." Okay, great.
Okay, so just out of the blue, they say you're voicing Eggman, and also you're going to voice this guy here.
Mm-hmm. I was there. I'm versatile. I'm happy to play multiple roles if that's what the client wants.
Nice. Being able to play two villains at once. I mean, I think that's actually a good thing in a resume as well.
Sure.
So let's see. I actually had an interesting one around here. So I've noticed in the live-action Paramount movies of Sonic the Hedgehog that there have been like cameos of certain things. One of which was another voice actor who played Robotnik in Sonic Underground. He made an actual appearance on that. Has Paramount ever approached you in regards of making a cameo or anything like that?
Nope.
Nope, nothing? Alright. Speaking of the Paramount movies, or I guess in this case, the Paramount universe, I end up learning that you're around in the fan film known as Project Shadow.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
How was that experience? It's like, can you give any sort of details on your experience on that one?
It was a quick little voiceover session, lasted about an hour, very professionally handled, nice and prepared. Came in, they knew what they wanted, they told me what they wanted, I gave them what they wanted, and we wrapped up and it turned into a little part of a big thing.
Oh, okay, good. So, and I guess the only question regarding the Paramount universe would actually be regarding any other actors. Like, have you actually met or spoken to any of the other actors who portrayed Eggman, such as like Jim Cummings, Gary Chalk? Probably not the late Dean Bristow or Long John Baldry, or by any chance Jim Carrey.
Nope, not as of this moment.
All right, so none of the above. And then there's another one regarding like some of the work experience for, or at least when it comes to compared to voice acting the Sonic games and the Sonic Boom cartoon and Sonic X. Any sort of different work experience between those studios? Any different way of how they directed things?
There are different processes because they are set up differently. Games and recent cartoons are usually recorded separately. Sonic Boom was different in that it was done ensemble style, so we were all together at least at the same time, if not in the same place, because everyone else is in LA and I'm in New York, so I would always show up remotely most of the time at least. A couple times I would get flown out for an in-person thing, which is always cool, but we were at least there together to be able to record the radio play, as they call it, in real time and respond to each other in real time, the way acting should be. Games are more efficiently recorded separately, so we just get a spreadsheet of our dialogue, sometimes with the other lines around it, sometimes not, and we record each line separately and they assemble it as they develop the game. So ensemble prelay stuff where they record first before animating, a little easier to follow because it's a little more linear, but both are just as enjoyable. And as long as the director and production team are there and know what they want to have for final assembly, I can give them the ingredients they need for their casserole.
That's good to know. Since we just spoke about like between the Sonic Boom cartoon and the games, anything sort of different between the experience in Sonic Boom the cartoon and Sonic X? Or is that just the same as before? Also two different things, because Sonic X was a dub and Sonic Boom was prelay. So for Sonic X, we were dubbing a Japanese cartoon into English, which means it's all done one line at a time with lots of precision because you got to match lip flap to some degree. So I would be booked for an hour or two at a time, and we would go in and do line by line, perfecting each line until we got it right, and then moving on. With Sonic Boom, we would usually record ensemble style, as I mentioned, and we would go scene by scene. So we would do a scene. If it came out right the first time, great, we moved on to the next scene. And if they wanted another take, we would run the scene again. And then if there were still some issues, we might pick up individual lines as we go. Okay, That's interesting. So Sonic Boom is actually just straight up starts as English, because for some reason I almost confused thinking that that started off as French, but maybe that's not the case.
No, it was produced by a French company, but English was the lead language.
Okay. So that's good to know. And then I guess back on any sort of acting, and it's a bit similar to how was mentioned before, but there's no really headcanons or like traits that you've given to Eggman that help you get into character. It's just be molded by how the voice directors want it.
Yep, I am there to serve the writer's pleasure and the director's pleasure and the producer's pleasure. As long as the voice is what they want, I'm there to breathe life into the script and lift the words off the page or off the screen as it is now. But I am still a voice for hire, and I am telling their story. So they make sure that I am telling their story or helping tell their story the way they want it told.
So there's no need for you to like think of how Eggman does this. It's just like you take in the input and then you just build it from there.
I'm living in the moment, yes.
Yeah, okay, that's actually a good mindset. We're near the wrapping point actually, so there was actually a couple fun ones here. I guess the first one is the tips you would give to anyone who aspires to be a voice actor or do any voice work.
Be an actor first. Acting is a specialization, not a restriction. We are actors. If you get into the booth and you can't act, don't bother showing up, because this is acting more than just being able to do a voice or a funny voice even. It's being able to act. I have never restricted myself. I just did an off-Broadway show over the summer, so I am a full-service actor. Get acting experience, local theater, community theater, school theater. Get some acting training if you can, and then once you've established an acting background, then you can specialize in voice with voiceover coaching of some kind. But you've got to be able to interpret a script and bring the script to life in any medium.
Right.
A lot of people just want to focus on, I want to do anime. Anime is not the most lucrative. You'll find that if you're doing it, but don't limit yourself. The more you can do and the more you're willing to do, the more money you can make. And if you want to turn this into a career, you want to make as much as you can.
Yeah.
So don't restrict yourself.
Oh yeah, I get it. So essentially like broaden your horizon and just let yourself
Absolutely.
be into all these different methods, because they all complement each other so well.
When we're done, I'll be auditioning for a commercial because my agent sent me an audition and I would love to be part of a commercial.
Oh, wonderful. There's a fun one I had around here is sort of a silly one is if there was ever a moment where say Eggman would meet his assistant known as Agent Stone from the movies, if they were ever to meet, would there be anything that you think Eggman would do, or do we just leave that up to whatever the director decided to do if that ever happened?
That's a question for the writers. They write the scripts and make the scripts say what they're going to say. I read the words on the page. I don't put the words on the page.
Yeah, I figured that part. Well, we're near the wrapping point, and since I gave the question of actors and voice actors, there's just a final word, which is any words you like to say to all Eggman fans out there.
Thank you so much for watching and listening, because otherwise we're wasting our time.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Mike. It was a pleasure to see you. It was wonderful to get a chance to hear from the voice of Eggman for all these years. Been a wonderful inspiration out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you for asking. Great to be here.
Perfect. And that's where I'm going to wrap it up. All right. See you guys. Oh, wow. Amazing. That was truly amazing. Guys, I'm not sure how else to make of this, but wow. Spoke to the man, the myth, the legend himself. Guys, I'm glad I got to chat with such a wonderful man, and I'm glad that all of you were here to just see all this come together. I'd like to give a special thank you to Maybella for making this all possible. I'd like to thank every one of you for making the whole Eggman Empire channel possible. You are truly the greatest subjects of the Eggman Empire, the greatest followers I've ever had the pleasure of interacting with and providing entertainment to. So if you enjoyed this, please leave a like, a comment, a share, subscribe to the channel, join the Eggman Army, continue to support the cause, destroying the Melson Blue Hedgehog, his fawning foxy sidekick, the big red knucklehead, and all who stand in the way of the Eggman Empire.